So how many guys out there shared with me this excuse to somehow explain the amount of time we put into chasing? And the excuse was this. I read somewhere way back when, braced it immediately, that having sex was the equivalent of running a 4-minute mile. And I thought, wow, that's great. I can have my pleasure, I can do my exercise at the same time, and it would justify as much of that activity as you could possibly arrange, right? So I was inspired by this until very recently I was savagely brought to earth. Here are the facts, fellas. The energy demands of sex resemble a relaxed walk for a few blocks, interspersed by ascending 1 or 2 flights of stairs at a moderate pace. There goes that excuse. If sex is indeed a wonder drug, the question arises, what is the optimum amount of it for the best health? Do we have any guesses? You're an exciting bunch. Well, it turns out if you have sex, yes, twice a week, you have a 30% higher level of an important bug-fighting antibody than exists in the bodies of people who have sex less frequently. Here's the bad news. Any additional romps, for example, 3, 4, 5 times a week or more, vitiates the immunity boost. Here's another part of the standard narrative. The male brain is designed so that any single stimulus triggers arousal. All he needs to do is look at a piece of anatomy, or better still, an image of 2 women kissing, for example. On the other hand, the female brain requires multiple cues simultaneously or in succession to trigger arousal. That introduces a time element and more complex stimulation. This is reflected in erotica for each gender. Visual pornography is the most dominant erotica for men. Stories, whether they be romance novels, fan fiction, or erotica, are the most popular forms for women. So I called the guys in Montreal who run a site called Pornhub. 10 million daily visitors. 1/3 of the visitors are women. I'll say that again. 1/3 of the visitors are women, and that number is climbing. So with that introduction, I want to bring out Kendra Holliday. If you look in your book, she describes herself as follows: a bisexual, atheist, vegetarian, goddess, mother, and wife. Located in St. Louis, Missouri, she is a passionate sex explorer.
Thank you.
Kendra.
So I told my best friend that I was invited to come speak here at ideacity, and I told her, I said, they're paying $4,000 a ticket to hear me talk. And she said, really? Just to hear you talk? They're not going to have sex with you? Yeah, she knows all about me. And if you go to my website, thebeautifulkind.com, you can read the history. And I'm going to give you a nice little rundown here on stage. I was really worried that I would get uninvited to come here because it happens to me quite a bit. Just last month in St. Louis, where I'm from, I was invited to speak at a women's expo called Dazzle Yourself. And then they read my website, and they said, you dazzle yourself too much. You can't come to this. And so I also, I have a show that runs on the internet every Monday night on iwatchradio.com. And on this show, I interview people who have really interesting sex lives and fetishes. And instead of shaming them and going, I say, that's great, it's really celebratory. And my last show, Monday night, got cut short because we talked about something apparently more gross or shocking than monkey head soup. So that happens quite a bit. I even got kicked off of a sex blogger calendar for being too controversial. It just always something. So every time I got a message from ideacity, I would chant, please don't be like the Midwest, please don't be like the Midwest, please don't be like the Midwest. And luckily it's Toronto, and so I still got to come. So I'm really glad to be here. Thanks, thanks. And in fact, last week I got a phone call just asking, okay, what are you going to talk about again? Just making sure. And then right before I got on stage, okay, just make sure what you're going to cover again. And I said, it's not going to be X-rated, I promise. But can I do it naked? and then that whole joke about your audience naked, but my friends say, oh, we know you. You just imagine yourself, you'll be naked, and that'll be fine. So that's what I'm doing right now. So this slideshow, my partner put together for me, and when I saw it and got sent off here, I thought, wow, this could double for my funeral, because it's like a celebration of my life. And what this slideshow is, oh, by the way, I got a haircut. And that was so funny. I dared myself to do it. I shaved my head, just like I dared myself to get up on stage here, and so far it's fun. So I just wanted, it was a social experiment to see what it would be like, because people see me in this really cute and sexy way all the time. So if I removed a very sexual part of a woman, what would happen? And it's been interesting. I had a 10-year-old boy saw me for the first time, and he was a little bit like, whoa, your hair's shorter than mine. And then his little sister was like, you look like a boy. And I'm thinking, do I look like a boy? I don't think I do. But I told him, to make him feel better, I said, well, I told them to take a couple inches off, and they took off a couple feet. So I'm going to write a book about it because it's been so interesting. I'm going to call it Rapunzel's Razor, because the woman who did it was actually this fetish model dominatrix who we did it on stage and made a video of it, and it was a really fun, interesting experience, and I'm really glad I did it. So this slideshow here is what I call my goddess slideshow. And to me, what I wanted to do is to portray my slut side with my mother side. And my definition of the word slut is not the dictionary definition, which is a slovenly, dirty woman. No. A slut to me is a person who's in touch with their sexuality. That sounds great to me, and that's why I absolutely embrace Slut Walk. I'm happy to be a part of Slut Walk. I'm meeting with the Slut Walk people who founded it in Toronto tomorrow night for dinner. I'm really excited about that. And we'll have our own Slut Walk in St. Louis on July 16th, and I hope I get to be right up there in front with that. So also, my definition of a goddess, or a god, is a person who's in touch with their sexuality and their mothering or nurturing or parenting side. So that, to me, I'm trying to represent both sides there, with the sexual slutty side and then the mothering side. So what I'm here to talk about today is being an open and honest, sex-positive mom in the Midwest. And it's not easy. I have a 10-year-old daughter, and she's a very awesome, amazing. I can't wait for you to hear from her. She's going to make a little guest appearance on my talk today. So what is sex positive? Some people aren't familiar with that term. Sex positive can mean all kinds of things. We've had people write in. I have a community forum on my website, and people have defined it all kinds of ways. But to me, sex positive is mutual respect. Sex positive is enjoying sex without guilt or shame. And most importantly, to me, sex positive is accepting yourself and other people for who they are. And with that, I want to share with you an audio clip of my daughter. I told her I was coming to speak here, and I asked her to share some of her words of wisdom with you. So this is clip 1.
When I grow up and be a mom, I want my children to know the truth about sex and drugs and the world and honesty. By honesty, I mean being honest to yourself and the world.
So yes, I'm teaching sex positive to my daughter. So a little background about myself. I'm 38 years old now, and I had a very interesting upbringing. My parents are still together. They're awesome. My mom has mental illness. So when I was when I was 18, I got kicked out of the house for not emptying the dishwasher. And so I was homeless for a little while, and then I got a job as a stripper, and then I did some other jobs and figured my way out and saved up money to buy a car, and have been trying to figure things out ever since. I did meet and marry a man in my 20s, and I've been divorced for about 8 years, so my daughter's 10 now. And so my whole 20s I spent in a very, I call it vanilla monogamous marriage, and it was fine, it was nice. But the interesting thing is that I'm a writer, and so I kept a journal during that time, and when I went back to read my writings from being married, it was so boring that I threw it away, because all I did was talk about what I had for dinner that night, and we went on little trips, and it was a very stable, steady, nice little life, but it was not so interesting like the way I like to live. So I've had my website, The Beautiful Kind, for 5 years now, and it started out in a very negative way. It started out as a little ranting space for me. It was a blog where I complained about Croc shoes and bad fashion and people with all kinds of pet peeves. I'm kind of the crazy cat lady of pet peeves. Everything annoys me. But so I was going on that way for a while, but then just one day I threw up this story about something that happened to me about my sex life, and it involved a Civil War mansion front porch at night during a thunderstorm. And it was I remember it was such a nice moment. I wrote about it, put it out there, and people were really interested in it. So I really got onto something there. So I started writing more about my sex life. And so this site went from being kind of a cynical sort of space to this space where I was bragging about my sex life. With, like, in the past 3 years, though, people keep reading it, and I keep getting more and more readers, and they would start sending me questions about sexuality. They would want to share their stories too. So at this point, in the past couple of years, it's become the safe haven, the sex-positive community for my friends all over the world, and it's a wonderful. It's just really turned something. It was kind of started out negative and turned into something so positive, and I'm really glad about that, and I'm really proud of the site. It's just beautiful. There's a webmaster. That's not me doing the web design. It's so beautiful. I hope that you can check it out. But it's been about a year now that I was an anonymous blogger. And by anonymous, I went by TBK, and I never showed my face. Everything was from the neck down, and I was doing this for 4 years, and I had a day, I got a job in an office, and everything was fine. I was doing a good job at the office, but then somehow they Googled my name, and there was this technical glitch attached to Twitter, and they found out about my anonymous sex blog, and they fired me immediately. They didn't even they were just so horrified. They called me into the office, and they were like, "What were you thinking? I'm talking to a 14-year-old. Why would you do something like that?" And wow, I mean, that was so stunning and shocking to me. I was just so mortified, and that was the last time I was slut-shamed. That's been over a year. And I went home, and we took the site down so I could regroup and think, what should I do? Should I kill this, change my name, and then just get a desk job and just flow myself back into society as best I can? Or my whole thing is being open and honest. That's I have lots of mantras, but one of them is be open and honest. So I decided to come out. And so last October, I put my name and face to my website, and that created a huge stir with my community. And along with that, I co-founded Sex Positive St. Louis, which is a bridge that we are hoping there's like a chasm of conservatism in the Midwest, and we're hoping to build this bridge that'll connect the East Coast with the West Coast and get us up to speed with the progressive thinking that when I got fired from my job, all my friends in San Francisco and New York were like, come move here, but I want to stay in St. Louis and try to make it better there. So the article really reached a lot of people, and it was interesting that I had a 19-year-old girl from Kansas and a 65-year-old man in New York both write me on the same day telling me, I felt like you were telling my story, and I'm so glad you put a face to all these things that you talk about. It made me feel not so crazy or weird, and not, you're just it's so amazing to see someone be shameless about this. So that really meant a lot to me. But back to the outrage in the community. I was kicked out of Girl Scouts. I was the cookie captain of Girl Scouts. I got kicked out. And they sent me this note saying, due to recent events, we hope you'll understand that you'll no longer be invited to participate in Girl Scout programming, nor will you be allowed to be cookie captain anymore. And so I got fired from being cookie captain because I have sex. And another mom in the community said that what I did was unforgivable by coming out and saying that I have sex. And I was banned from some of the kids at my daughter's school. I wasn't allowed to be around them. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm the one you want around your kids because you know everything. It's all out there. There's no secrets. Oh, think about all the other people who don't, they hide a lot. So it's just something to think about there. And speaking of people being outraged, I'm actually being sued for full custody of my daughter. My ex-husband is suing me. So I'm dealing with that now, and I really hope that by the fall we've come to some sort of really positive resolution there. So yeah, I get punished for living real and reality. I'm doing things that people dream of doing or watch on the porn and wish they could do these things, and I'm doing them, and it's not okay with a lot of people, and I challenge that. Why not? I want to know. Because I really think the bonobos, I like their society a lot. So oh gosh, I can't wait to hear this next talk. So the thing of it is that people think they have to choose. They have to choose. If I'm going to be a volunteer at my daughter's school, I can't be this wild and crazy woman having parties and things like that. And I argue that yes and yes. Yes, you can be a wonderful volunteer and upstanding citizen. You can hold a job, and you can go to an orgy if you want to. And I think that's okay. And I think a lot of people do it, but they don't talk about it. And I don't know. I think it's. I actually practice something called responsible hedonism, and responsible hedonism is, as long as you take care of yourself and your duties and responsibilities and are healthy, you can have as much fun as you want as long as you're not hurting other people. So that means that I get to enjoy life and be a sensualist and not feel guilty or ashamed about things. And it just seems like a really nice way to go. I also teach my daughter a very positive body image. I've never moaned about my weight. I don't have a scale in my house. I don't say, oh, I can't have that cake. You know, I'm a sensualist. I like to enjoy these things. And so that brings me to clip 2 of my daughter talking.
Most girls my age are usually obsessed with how fat or thin they are. I'm sorry, that is not the case here. Personally, I'd like to wonder, I wonder why are people so obsessed with that? I like waffles. What do you think? I think my body is perfectly fine, and I bet you guys all have perfect bodies and stuff.
So this is who your sons will be dating someday. So if you get them up to speed and just make sure that they're all positive and body and all that, that would be great. Thanks. So that was very much like a kid talking, but I think we so underestimate our children. She had a 10-year-old birthday party. Before I came out, kids came over to my house for a party, and they were all playing, and I hired a belly dancer, and there was a slip and slide, and there was a sundae bar, and it was really fun. And I overheard one boy, a 10-year-old boy, say to someone, he was like, yeah, well, when I grow up and I'm 18, I'm gonna grow a beard and move to Australia and drink beer. And I thought that was like, sounds kind of hedonistic and fun. And then this other little girl in the class, she's not a tomboy, she's more like a tombutch. She's just a super, super masculine little girl. She was talking to someone, and it sounded like they were in a cocktail happy hour or something. She said, yeah, sometimes I feel like a husband who's been left holding his wife's purse while she's shopping. Just kind of interesting little perception there. Yeah, so my daughter's going through all sorts of development now at a 10, and it's, oh wow, you know, and I asked her what her biggest fear was, and she told me her biggest fear was reality. And I thought that was sort of kind of a funny thing, and she told me, she said, well, sometimes I wish I could go into a fantasy world, but then I would miss you, and you're the only person who still understands me. Because as she's getting older, she's growing out of that kids accept everything, and her parents and teachers and different adults are starting to kind of see that she's turning into this person. So she has to kind of fake her way through situations and put on a mask for these different things. And And we all have to do that, and I understand that with work and so forth, but I think that we should be able to be ourselves with our loved ones, and she can do that with me, and I hope that other people can learn to accept other people for who they are more than we are now, because a lot of people are living these dual lives, and I'm fully integrated, and it feels really nice, and I so appreciate that I have that, even though there are serious repercussions, but I'm thinking that if we can keep accepting and embracing and accepting people for who they are, then this might change and other people can join me with this. So, yeah, oh gosh. Let's play the last clip, please.
Most humans, yes, mostly just humans, I've never seen a dog with a boob job, usually get plastic surgery. All right, so this is my perception on it. Normal, pretty good-looking person goes into a building, comes out all like a walking Barbie doll. Which do you like? Walking Barbie dolls with permanently tattooed on makeup? Or do you like a normal fleshy person who actually is naturally, well, yes, you get the point.
Yeah. So, no more walking Barbies. No more walking Barbies.
In the crowd who might just have plastic surgery, please do not take any offense to this. This is just my perception.
Yes. So be open and honest. Think outside the cage. And I'm looking for some people who believe in me, like ideacity did. I'm so grateful they had me on, talking about this really edgy stuff that you can read about more online. And I'm looking for partners and sponsors and everything to join me in my mission and my cause. And thank you so much. Did I do okay? Was it okay? Okay.
Here we go.
Oh, yes. Okay, let's check it. Very nice. Listen, you need to get a little closer.
Okay.
Put your arm around
He's
it.
scared of me.
That's it. Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
Okay, okay, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Mose.
Thank you.